And I think you've probably done reflection on this just studying attachment and, the things that happen to us when we're young. Have you given any pointed thought to where that curiosity comes from? Have you always had it? Is it something that you've been able to be like, oh yeah, that's when it started?
Yeah. So I had some traumatic childhood experiences myself. And so I had like a really magical childhood growing up. My parents were married and happy, and everything was great. And then when I was 12 years old, my father got a terminal illness diagnosis, and he was sick on his deathbed, off his deathbed, on his deathbed, off his deathbed for 12 years after that. So the first 12 years of my life were normal. The second 12 years of my life were horrendous. And what's interesting is that when I was growing up, like I never questioned if I was good enough. I never questioned if I was loved, if I was lovable, if I was good at doing things. I had a really high self-confidence that was really hard to shake. And then my dad got sick, and I had this really traumatic life experience. And most people, or at least my understanding of the world pre going to college, was, well, someone who experiences something this traumatic. And when I was 24, my dad died. So he was sick for 12 years and it was crazy, but then he passed away when I was 24 in grad school. And so most people would look at this and be like, well, you must be like really messed up, right? I think a lot of people think that people who experience these negative life experiences have a lot of issues. And I always wondered why I didn't. I always felt really confident. I felt really sure of myself. I always felt like I was enough. I felt like people liked me. I felt good about being in relationships. I was never scared of intimacy. I was never scared of self-disclosure. I didn't have any fears. And I just was like, how did I come out of that? Okay. Now, am I perfect? No. I've got a ton of shit that, I have trouble with daily. I've got control issues, and I've got I've got issues with people telling me what to do, and I can't handle it. It triggers me. So I'm not perfect, but I'm not, messed up the way I thought most people would be who experience that. And so when I was in grad school, so I guess I was always interested in this whole, like, how am I making it through? What's going on that's helping me get through this tough time? And then when I was in grad school, I learned about attachment, and it just answered so many of my questions. And it made me realize that it's not about the traumatic event that causes these negative things to happen to you. It is about how your body reacts during that negative life event. And if you have a support system to help you get through that negative life event, you can get through it, not unscathed. You're different, you're changed, you're affected, but you can get through it and feel relatively okay if you have people walking you through. And I did. I had my mom, who was a secure attachment figure to me. I had my dad, who was a secure attachment figure to me. I had a grandmother, family friends who were in my life daily, aunts and uncles. I had lots of adults that were helping me get through that time in my life. And so I was affected. I am affected by it, but I have come out the other end with a little bit more resilience. And so I think I just was always fascinated by that. And then when I was in undergrad, so even before my dad had passed, before I had learned about attachment, I had a teacher who studied interpersonal communication. And I remember sitting in her class and just thinking she was really cool. And I thought, how people like do this for a job? What do you mean? Like, people study relationships? And she was like, yes, it is a huge area of research. And I just thought, well, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to figure out how to be good at this thing that I know is really important and that essentially makes the world go round. And I truly believe that relationships are really the only important thing.